West Ham are in a very weird place at the minute, coming off the back of a 4-1 defeat away at Tottenham and sat 15th in the league. New manager Julian Lopetegui has been put in charge of West Ham for this season, and it's proven that his side is very, very hit or miss. I would sit here and talk about Lopetegui, go on about the transfers that he's made, the likes of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Nicholas Füllkrug and even Crescencio Somerville, but I'd be here all day and I'll save that for another video. But I do want to go in depth on two players that we actually already had last season that really haven't been performing. Because these two players are Lucas Paquetá and Mohammed Kudus. Alright everyone, how you doing? Brexit Bubbles here, and today's video is actually away from the pitch and talking about a matter about West Ham that I've noticed for the last couple of weeks or maybe even months. So as I say, we are 15th in the league, not in Europe. Out of the League Cup after getting battered 5-1 at Anfield by Liverpool, and honestly, it's not looking good at all, in the last game being a 4-1 defeat away at Spurs, and two of our key players, Mohammed Kudus and Lucas Paquetá, playing like completely different people who've never even played football before. But before I talk about those recent games, I actually want to go all the way back to August the 29th, 2022. The day West Ham broke our previous record signing of Sebastian Haller from Frankfurt, and we bought a new Brazilian number 10. Lucas Paquetá. The 25-year-old from Lyon joined West Ham on a 5-year deal, and there was a lot of excitement around the move. He even came off the bench to make his debut at home against Tottenham in a 1-1 draw and actually nearly scored in the last minute. What a debut that would have been. But he didn't, and he actually didn't contribute to a goal all the way until October. In a 1-0 win away at Anderlecht, a clever little flick over the top, Scamacca finished a chance and Paqueta had his first assist for West Ham. But talking about goals, it would actually come after the World Cup away at Leeds, playing at Elland Road. He equalised just on the stroke of half-time, making it 1-0, as the game finished 2-2, and West Ham were in a bit of a sticky situation, but at least Paqueta had his first goal from the penalty spot. So let's face it, his start wasn't great, only 5 goal contributions all the way up until April, and it really was showing. But for me, it was a game at home to Ghent in the quarter-finals of the Europa Conference League that really started to turn the screw. Away in Ghent the previous week, it was 1-0 after a Danny Ings goal. I know, of all people, Danny Ings. But at home, we actually had some work to do against the Belgian side, actually going 1-0 down as well. But we taught Ghent never to score too early against West Ham, but more specifically against Lucas Paquetá. As Paqueta went on to score from the penalty spot once again, and then getting 2 assists as well on the night, as West Ham won 4-1 and 5-2 on aggregate to book a spot in our second successive European semi-final. And then back to the Premier League, Paqueta would score in a 4-0 win away at Bournemouth and would also score a brilliant goal at home to Liverpool. We unfortunately lost 2-1, but Paqueta, he was on absolute fire. And his best was still yet to come. We had our European semi-final against AZ Alkmaar, winning 3-1 on aggregate over the 2 legs. Pablo Fornal scoring in the 94th minute away in Alkmaar to secure that spot, going to Prague, where we would play Fiorentina. And it was 1-1 heading into the 90th minute. But Paqueta did not want to leave it that way, as he picked up the ball in the midfield, sent an inch-perfect through ball through to Jarrod Bowen, who finished his chance, and the rest is history. West Ham, we're champions of Europe. We know what we are. We know what we are. We're not champions of Europe, but champions of the Conference League at least. And it may only have been the Conference League, but honestly, a trophy is a trophy and something that Tottenham need to learn. But enough about them. Paqueta had become a cult hero for getting that vital assist in Prague on that magical, magical night where we won the Conference League. And this was only the beginning. At home in our second game of the Premier League season, we beat Chelsea 3-1. Paqueta scoring in stoppage time, a penalty to seal the game, and West Ham's season was truly up and running, sending Chelsea the complete other direction, but Paqueta was on fire. We were actually top of the league for a couple of nights after beating Luton and Brighton, and honestly, even in the games that we did lose, like a 3-1 loss away at Anfield, Paqueta was one of the best players on the pitch. And things were just about to get a whole lot better. The brilliant technical Lucas Paquetá was about to be paired up with another very, very technical player. This one, a Ghanaian winger by the name of Mohammed Kudus from Ajax. We'd left it late in the transfer window, but it was time for Kudus to start getting integrated into the side, making a few appearances off the bench and actually starting his first game at home to TSC Bakatopala. As you can tell, absolutely massive team in the Europa League. He actually scored 2 goals on his home European debut for West Ham, so he was truly up and running as well. But back in the Premier League, he wasn't getting any goals, any assists, and that was because he really wasn't playing. He was only coming off the bench every so often. It would take a game at home to Newcastle where he scored a late equaliser to make the game 2-2, got a point in the game, and Mohammed Kudus had got himself some recognition and would be in the starting 11 for many, many, many games to come. And he actually got even better, playing in a front four system of Jarrod Bowen up top with Mikel Antonio injured, Paqueta off the left wing, Kudus off the right wing, and James Ward-Prowse through the middle. All four of these players really complementing each other and were the reason that West Ham got so many good results in that December period. And this Brazilian times Ghana link-up was absolutely brilliant for now, but unlike Tottenham's trophy drought, things don't last forever. But before it all started to go wrong, we went away to the Emirates and won 2-0 against Arsenal. That is right, West Ham beat Arsenal 2-0. Don't ask me how, I honestly have no clue. But unfortunately, Paqueta had to come off injured midway through the first half. And it didn't really matter, that game in particular. We won 2-0, we kept a clean sheet, we got all 3 points. But little did we know, it would be our last 3 points until almost March. Because Paqueta was gone injured and Mohammed Kudus was gone to an AFCON. The African Cup of Nations. Mid-season, he goes and plays for Ghana. Absolute joke. And with both Mohammed Kudus and Lucas Paquetá gone, West Ham are about to go through one of our worst ever runs of form, kicking things off with a 0-0 draw at home to Brighton, which actually isn't too bad a result, but it was the results that followed that really ruined our season. The first of which being at home to Bristol City in the FA Cup, surely a mid-table side in the Championship. You gotta be beating them at home, surely, right? Well, you'd think even more, because Paqueta was playing in this game, and he actually got an assist inside like 5 minutes. We were 1-0 up, surely the game was done from there, but no, he came off injured, and it was the news that later that really ruined the day. Not even the fact that we drew 1-0 with a Championship side and forced a replay at Ashton Gate on the following Tuesday, but the fact that Lucas Paquetá was out for 2 whole months. 2 whole months. Our Brazilian Magnifico was gone. So no Kudus, no Paqueta, a 1-0 loss away at Ashton Gate to Bristol City in the FA Cup, and a 2-2 draw with probably one of the worst ever sides to ever play in the Premier League, Sheffield United. Carlos Tevez sent you down, poor old Sheffield. But seriously, it wasn't good at all. Kudus away at the AFCON as well was losing all of his games. He lost to Cape Verde in the first group game, drew to Egypt and also bottled a 2-0 lead in stoppage time to Mozambique as Ghana finished third in their group and they were coming home. Which does sound all great. We get Kudus back, fantastic. We can continue just as normal, no Paqueta for a couple of months, but we'll have Kudus back. Surely everything will just be fine. But no, he came back with zero confidence and it looked like we had just put braids on Maxwell Cornet. He was a completely different player, unrecognisable, and he still didn't have Paqueta for a good few weeks. And in the games leading up to Paqueta's return included a 1-1 draw at home to Bournemouth, a 6-0 loss at home to Arsenal, a 3-0 loss away at Man United as well, and a 2-0 loss away at Nottingham Forest. Absolutely terrible. We're in late February and we hadn't even won in 2024 in all competitions. Until Paqueta was back. West Ham won 4-2 against Brentford and we thought, right, that's it. That's who we were missing. Lucas Paquetá, he's back now. No need to worry. Kudus, he'll be back as well. And in some aspects, we were right. He scored 2 brilliant goals against Freiburg, one being the Europa League goal of the tournament to secure a place in our 3rd successive European quarter-final. But after that, Paqueta and Kudus combined for the last 2 months of the season only got 4 goals and 4 assists. And at the end of the season we thought Paqueta ease off to City, but then something massive happened where West Ham could potentially lose Paqueta and get no money at all. But how, you may ask? Well, it links to Paqueta potentially getting banned for 10 years by the FA for betting on himself to get yellow cards. I know, sounds stupid. A guy with so much money betting on himself to get yellow cards. Is it really necessary? Well, if he's got a problem, then maybe it is. But he could have potentially been banned for 10 years. The case still hasn't been closed, but it's been pushed aside a little bit and he has been playing for West Ham ever since. It was a very similar situation to everything that happened to Ivan Toney of Brentford and Tonali of Newcastle getting banned for very long periods of time for betting on themselves. But for Paqueta, he would have potentially been banned for 10 whole years. That's his whole career completely gone. So as I say, it all does seem pretty fine for now, fingers crossed. The case hasn't been fully closed and obviously there are still some allegations on Paqueta for potentially putting yellow cards on himself. But since he's joined back with Julian Lopetegui, he is still a very, very different player. And it could be this betting thing that is playing over his mind. He scored 2 goals this season at home to Aston Villa and Ipswich, so not the worst in the world considering he is only an attacking midfielder. But his performances are so different to the ones that he met last season. he's unrecognisable as a player. Always giving the balls away, always giving these stupid tricks, trying to flick it over the defenders, not working, going into the goalkeeper's gloves. You see it time and time and time again, and I just don't know what's happened. And the same can be said for Mohammed Kudus. He is actually 2-2 in terms of scoring in the Premier League at home to Ipswich and away at Tottenham, but he won't be making it anymore anytime soon, as away at Tottenham he got sent off. A straight red. For kicking off with Van de Ven, he hit him in the face, he got sent off for violent conduct straight away, 3-match ban, meaning we won't see him play until Newcastle away, which on the other side of one of these pointless international breaks. But it was a shame to see because he was actually playing really well during the game, and as I said, he scored. So he's going to have some time to reflect on himself during this 3-match suspension period, but you do have to ask the question of where all this anger and frustration has come from in the first place. Well, I think it has to do with Ghana. He was captain of the Ghanaian national team and they have failed to qualify for the 2026 AFCON tournament. If he's still at West Ham by then I suppose it's good for us because then he doesn't have to go away to AFCON to play for Ghana. And really, in the 2024 tournament, they had an absolute mare anyway, and I think that ruined his confidence in the first place. But the fact they didn't qualify, I think he's trying to prove a point to the world that he can still reach the heights that he did last December, and I'm sure he can. But when he doesn't, things start to go wrong, and I do think that is why he got the red card the other day, just out of pure frustration and people thinking that he isn't the player that he once was. But talking about losing the team and talking about losing key players, we will not have Kudus for the next 3 games, and that is something that we do need to get to grips with. So I do think Somerville will come in. He hasn't had many minutes. He was a brilliant player in the Championship for Leeds last season. Didn't get promotion with them, but kind of lucky he didn't because now he is obviously at West Ham. But really, hasn't had that many minutes, and putting him in that left wing position where Kudus was and will not be able to play in the next 3 games could be very good for the club and could potentially show the player that Crescencio Somerville is. But if we lost Paqueta, things would be very, very different. Last season, we had Ward-Prowse, who doesn't play quite as high as Paqueta, but plays just behind. I think he fits in that sort of attacking midfielder role quite well. But this season, I'm struggling to think who would actually go there. The only one that really springs to mind is Carlos Soler, and I haven't seen an awful lot of him. So stick him in the deep end, really, stick him at the number 10, I think would be very, very difficult. So at the minute, we don't really have another attacking midfielder option if Paqueta did get injured or suspended or even just dropped by Lopetegui. But hopefully they just get back to their best and we can play the football that we did in December of last season. Please bring it back. It was absolutely brilliant. But that is what has happened to Kudus and Paqueta ever since we signed Paqueta all the way up until now. If you did enjoy this video, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, anything I said, please do let me know down in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, come on you Irons, I hope we can get both of these brilliant players back. Come on.